Americans will pay up in 2024. That is what we're hearing. Now, today I want to explain what's going on, why experts are telling us to get ready because this is coming and it is going to impact every single one of us. I will address what's happening because one thing I can tell you is that the American people are struggling. Certain groups of Americans are struggling more than others, but there's something that's going on right now that is going to make a massive difference when it comes to how we actually move forward. So I'm going to address that in just a moment. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoyed these daily updates. And now let's begin. So why are experts telling us that Americans may have to pay up in 2024? Well, it actually has to do with a few different things. One of those things is a new bill that Congress is attempting to pass. And this new bill could potentially push more money into the hands of the American people. For instance, the U.S. economy is set for another cash boost if Congress does back this tax deal. This tax deal would include child tax credit, an extension or an enhancement of that, which means more money to people with children. And also, this would actually give more money back to businesses. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's good, right? How would the American people pay if we are going to see more money back into our pockets? Well, I'll get to that in just a moment. Because not only is there a new bill, the new tax bill for businesses and families, there's also a government funding bill currently expected to be $1.66 trillion. In that bill, we are potentially going to see more money to things like the Social Security Administration, more money to SNAP benefits and WIC, things like that. But at the same time, there has to be more money for border security. And as there's more money for border security and more money for Ukraine and now Taiwan, because that's another issue, a new crisis that unfolded just yesterday. And then on top of that, we still have Israel. So all these different things that the United States is paying for, well, that has to come out of the budget. Guess what? If it comes out of the budget and it comes out of things like WIC and SNAP benefits, you would be paying for it if you are currently receiving some of those benefits, because you may see a cut to your benefits. Again, that's a problem, but it is one of the things that is currently on the table. Now, I want to show you this. I want to show you something because this is what the big issue is. There is a small amount of money that's potentially going to go back into the American people's pockets, but there's more issues. Here's one of them. The U.S.-Mexico border closures could cost billions of dollars. Remember what we are discussing right now. We are discussing border security, funding for Ukraine, funding for Israel, funding for Taiwan, all these highly important. But this funding for the U.S. border, again, I bring it up because right now, if we do not see additional funding, which means if we don't have funding, we can't pay for additional border agents. If we can't pay for additional border agents, what we have seen in the past is that the federal government is pretty much tasked with relocating certain border agents. So they close down railroad crossings at the U.S. southern border. And this just happened just last month or about 2 months ago. And when it happened, the issue was those companies that were waiting on the products, they were losing potentially billions and billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. Guess what? That could be coming back. If we don't see additional funding in a border security deal, then that means border agents, there's not going to be more border agents. They're just going to have to do the job of 2, 3, 4 people. And that means we could potentially have to close down these border crossings. And as we do, we see less products enter into the United States. And if we have less products, but demand is still high, prices go back up. And guess what? The American people will pay. Well, it doesn't stop there. Here's another one. These Houthi attacks on shipping in the Red Sea risk reigniting global supply chain crisis. This is exactly what we saw in 2021 in 2020 as well, that things just shut down. Shipping stopped. Businesses stopped sending products to the United States. We stopped sending products out, and things just went to a standstill. As they did, and as things started to slowly get back to, well, not normal, but things started to open up during the initial stages of the pandemic, what happened was our supply chains were crushed. They were crippled. Because of that, what happened next was everybody wanted these certain products. Well, these products were limited because the manufacturer's not making more, shipping was stalled, and because of that, demand was high, the supply was low, and the price of products went up. Again, the American people will pay. But here's something that went on just yesterday. Yesterday, Taiwan had a presidential election. In Taiwan, the people of Taiwan, they voted to have the Democratic Progressive Party stay in charge. Okay? The DPP. Well, what happened now, and this is part of the issue, is China is expected to ramp up pressure on Taipei, Taiwan, and Washington after Taiwan's election. This is what we're going to see. China wants to reunify Taiwan with mainland China. The main reason why? Because of the semiconductor business. There's so much money in semiconductors because we use them everywhere. Taiwan accounts for over 60% of the world's semiconductors and over 90% of the world's more advanced semiconductors. So of course China wants to get their hands on that. But if they do, and they do reunify Taiwan with mainland China, guess who is paying? Every single person in the entire world will have to pay China whatever they're asking for. Okay? This is why experts are telling us the American people are going to pay. Because right now, here's the issue. Does President Biden do more for Taiwan? Potentially. Does he do more for Ukraine? Potentially. Does he do more for Israel? Potentially. The reason why I say potentially is because as of right now, what we are hearing is that the Biden administration is trying to figure out a way to win this upcoming election in 2024. What is the best way? Previously, President Biden said he would give Social Security recipients a $2,400 per year boost. That never happened. So they know they can't go back and promise Social Security recipients and people on a fixed income any benefit. Because if they do, they're going to look at President Biden and say, you know what? He's probably lying because he promised something like that before, never did it. The other thing is President Biden has also promised to forgive up to $10,000 in student loan debt. Well, he's tried to do some of that, but it was shut down. That's not something that he can do again. So, providing a benefit and getting the votes of seniors who are on a fixed income and people with student loan debt, that's not something he can do. But, according to reports, he is looking at ways to target the younger generations. Well, the younger generations are looking at inflation and the cost of living. It's too expensive on one income to rent an apartment by yourself, to pay for food, pay for your utilities, pay for a car payment, and your home. It's just too expensive. So that is one of the things that the younger generations are looking into. Here's the problem. President Biden is struggling to figure out a way to keep inflation coming down. Because what we know is over the past month, inflation actually went up 0.3%. So we're going to see what happens moving forward. All I can tell you is that experts anticipate the American people are going to have to pay up in 2024. In some way, it's going to cost us more money in 2024. So just be ready for that. But that is what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise, I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates. But that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.